Jamaloo. What's up mga ka-Jom-Jom? Welcome to another episode of Jomaloo, ang podcast ni Jom at Chika. And grabe, it's been a long time since you feel my love. Hindi, it's been a long time since I've last recorded kasi sobrang naging busy tong August na to. Quick update lang, naging part ako ng dance competition for within our company lang naman from where I work. Tapos sobrang naging busy sa rehearsals. Tapos, kinasal yung kapatid ko. So, lahat ng yon all in 1 month. Kaya, ngayon pa lang ako back from the dead, back from all the hanash. At umuulan pa while I'm recording. Hindi rin po soundproof itong aking kwarto. So, please bear with me as we do this recording. But hindi tayo magpapatinag. We will do this episode because I'm excited to talk about what we have for today's episode. And I believe this is something that is very difficult for all of us to face kasi mahirap talaga siyang i-face. Yun yung reality nun. Hindi tayo equipped masyado on how do we face these kinds of things. And this is what we will answer for today's episode. And the question that we have is, what is your greatest regret? So to answer that, my greatest regret, and isisiwalat natin to ngayon sa podcast na to, I have hurt someone that I dearly loved. Sobrang nasaktan ko yung person na yon, and how I wish I can turn back time para sana hindi na lang nangyari yung mga nangyari. But at the end of the day, it already did. And wala na akong magagawa doon. I already caused damage to another person, and I will spare the details of what have happened, but in essence, ayun, I regret hurting this person because this person really knew me from my ups, downs, from all of my experiences. Talagang nandun siya, and then I've ruined the connection that we've had, and I wish I can turn back time para sana hindi na lang nag-transpire yung mga bagay-bagay. But it is what it is. But more than that, having that reality that I hurt someone, I made a mistake, and I did something I regret, I've learned something. And that is, you need to take responsibility of the mistakes that you've made. And even if it's something regrettable, you have to own your shit. That's one thing that I've learned. And to the Philippine government, take some notes, no? Learn how to own up your shit. Kasi grabe, ending dito, para tayo nasa circus, nagsisisihan tayo. 'Di ba? Full of drama. Unnecessary drama. But that's for a different episode, I guess. But on a personal scale, someone you're relating to someone else, you did something wrong and it caused damage. It caused your connection with that person. I've learned that taking responsibility establishes the fullness of your character as a person. And if you've already seen or if you haven't seen Inside Out 2 yet, let me just reference that with today's topic. Spoiler alert din, I'll be sharing some scenes that have happened in Inside Out 2. Merong part dun sa movie na si Riley, meron siyang core belief, perception niya sa sarili niya, which is she is a good girl based from all of her experiences in the past. And it got shaken because of the new experiences that she had, and it really caused chaos of her perception of herself. But there is this pivotal part wherein she allowed all parts of herself, the good and the bad. So, kumbaga, nagbigay siya ng room for the mistakes, for the bad things, to be part of who she is. And that's when she had a fuller perception of herself. Na parang, I am not just a good girl. I am a silly girl. I have made mistakes. I'm human. Yun yung pinaka-essence nung eksena na yun. And I love that na she was able to cope with the situations and she was able to form her perception of self na ito yung buong ako. I'm human. I am good. I have done something bad. And that's okay. And I think we've discussed that in one of the previous episodes that you are the sum and more of all your experiences. But we will dig deeper dun sa negative side kasi we're talking about regrets, mistakes. And most of us talaga, hindi tayo equipped to face our mistakes or our regrets. But with the experience that I've had, I've learned to take responsibility, to own up to what I did. And there is redemption in the mistakes that we own up. Whenever we own up our mistakes and take responsibility of it, it fortifies our character. New word, fortify. So, side note lang, 'di ba? Fortify is a word commonly used back in the Renaissance or like medieval ages, wherein it's commonly used when you're preparing for battle. Na parang fortify the walls, strengthen the walls because we're about to fight colonizers, someone trying to, wage war sa isang kingdom, sa isang city. And I think it makes sense as we use that word when it comes to facing regrets because in connection to finding yourself, allowing yourself to face regrets, the negative things, the bad things, the mistakes, it strengthens your character. It makes you full na hindi ka lang yung perception mo na dapat perfect lagi, na dapat ganito, ganyan, ganyan. But there's a room, may wiggle room for you to experience the fullness of life. You know what I'm saying? So, ganun. And I would like to share with you yung mga bagay na yun. So, let this be a space for us to talk about that. No, but more so, what are the actions or responses that we can do so that we can, cope and navigate when it comes to facing regrets? And I have witnessed people applying for responses or actions in their own way of navigating regrets. The first one is recognize. You need to recognize that you're the one who made the mistake. You're not the victim here. You're the perpetrator. You caused damage towards another person. So you have to recognize that first. And more so, you need to know why it's a mistake. So hindi lang basta na-recognize mo na may mali. Ano ba yung nagawang mali? Ano ba yung boundary na natapakan? Ano ba yung mga mistakes or actions na na-commit against another person? So you have to know that, and that should not be reiterated to you. Ikaw dapat yung mag-admit sa sarili mo, nire-recognize mo na ako yung main actor nung nagawa kong mali. That sets your course on becoming better. Kasi yun naman yung goal eh. Once you face your regrets, you're allowing yourself to become better because you recognize that you made a mistake and you wanted to make up for it. You're taking full responsibility of it. And part of that is recognizing na ikaw yung doer ng action, ikaw yung antagonist dito, hindi ikaw yung bida. Ikaw yung naging kontrabida. So, you really have to allow that to be put to light. That's the first thing. But it doesn't end there. That's the first step. Initial pa lang yun. The next response that we need to have is to dismiss. Ano ba yung bagay na kailangan nating i-dismiss? Kailangan nating i-dismiss whatever influenced our behavior. If you're recognizing that you're the one who committed the mistake, you have to remove the idea that there's something that influenced that, something triggered that, or may ginawa yung ibang tao for you to do that. Because at the end of the day, it won't matter. At the end of the day, you did the mistake, or we did the mistake, and it already affected the person. So, walang point na ipaglaban mo pa kung ano yung mga bagay na nag-contribute sa action na yun. Kasi at the end of the day, you're in full volition. Valid na may influence, pero hindi siya license for you to use that to justify yourself, to justify what was wrong. Kasi at the end of the day nga, may nasaktan. And kung nire-recognize mo na may nasaktan, then we should be humble enough to dismiss kung ano man yung nag-influence dun. Kasi nga, again, we're trying to be better. That is not to say na hindi valid yung nararamdaman mo. It is. Whatever caused you to do the mistake that you've committed, valid siyang pag-isipan pero hindi mo siya pwedeng tambayan. Yun nga, meron kang nagawang mali sa ibang tao and hindi ikaw yung victim dito. So, it doesn't make sense if we keep on blaming other things that caused us to do something na tayo rin naman yung gumawa. Hindi siya taking responsibility. It's not giving owning up your shit. It's giving pointing fingers. No, we don't want that here. So, we have to dismiss those influences kasi nga hindi yon yung magli-lead doon sa path of becoming better. Kasi ayun naman yung end goal. I think pauulit-ulitin ko yon dito sa episode na to kasi yun naman talaga. We want to be better version of ourselves in its fullness, navigating around the mistakes that we have committed. You're listening to Jomalu, ang podcast ni Jom at Chika. If nakarelate ka or nagustuhan mo yung pinag-uusapan today, then subscribe to this podcast. And for more updates, follow me on all my social media platforms at Jom at Chika on X, Instagram, and TikTok. Now back to the episode. The third is accepting. Syempre, hindi lang naman sa dismissing whatever influenced that. We also have to have some sense of acceptance that a mistake has been made. There will be changes on the connection with the person that you made a mistake to. Especially yung magiging dynamics nyo afterwards. And hindi lang yun. Based from my experience, hindi lang kasi between me and the person yung naging effect niya. It was bigger than us because it affected even the people surrounding us. Which is sad. And something that hindi ko na mababawi. But I have to deal with that fact. I have to accept the reality that there will always be consequences of whatever actions that we will make. Kasi part yun. But that's where we grow, learning from the mistakes that we've made. But there's also a promise of grace every morning. So more than accepting that reality, you also need to accept the grace of every morning. The grace that there's always a new tomorrow. There's always be an opportunity for you to start over, to build yourself up and become better. Because that will always be promised as a new day begins. So again, okay lang din naman na i-feel mo in its fullness yung lahat ng emotions that go along the mistake that was committed. Pero hindi mo siya pwedeng tambayan. Kahit small steps, okay na yun kesa yung stuck ka. Kasi nga, counterintuitive yun, counterproductive yun with our goal na becoming better every day. So, we need to forgive ourselves as well. Allow ourselves to feel all these things but forgive ourselves because we're only human. We're not perfect. And one thing is for sure, we will keep on making mistakes. We will keep on doing something that we regret. But that leads to the last response or action, which is to continue. Continue living. Continue becoming better. Continue to forgive yourself because we deserve that. We should not be hard on ourselves and we should allow ourselves to have a room for improvement, that we can still continue living life to the full despite all the mistakes that we've made. Na hindi end all be all yung mistake na nakommit natin. It may be something that we regret a lot, but it's not the end of the world. Hindi natatapos ang buhay just because of one mistake. Mas marami pa tayo makakommit ng mistake in our lifetime. So, might as well give yourself that grace. Allow yourself to continue. So that at the end of the day, kapag check out ka na sa world, dun mo masasabi na you have found yourself. You have discovered what it is to live. Sino ka ba talaga bilang isang tao? And what is your part in your relationships with other people, with your connections with other people. So, ayun lang naman yung gusto kong i-share. Pero baka may gusto rin kayong i-share, meron kayong thoughts, or you also want to answer, ano ba yung greatest regret nyo in life? Then feel free to comment them on this podcast. We have our comment section, so share nyo dun. Let's make this a third space or like a safe space for us to talk about the things that are difficult to talk about. Feel free to share those, whatever you can share, and at least on a personal or social level, we get to improve ourselves, and hopefully as we improve ourselves individually, it will affect and aggregate doon sa kabuuan, sa society, and to the whole world. Ayun yung challenge and encouragement sa atin when it comes to facing regrets. And ayun, I think I've said it all that I wanted to share. So, subscribe na rin kayo dito sa podcast na to para updated kayo kung ano man yung mga magiging next episodes and kung gusto nyo pang may matutunan about finding yourself. So, yun lang naman. Again, thank you and follow me on my social media platforms at Jomechika on X, on Instagram, on TikTok, and on Threads. Ayun lang, maraming salamat and till the next episode. Bye!